familiar turn of events for outspoken trade unionist Belinda Wilson. The Bahamas Union of Teachers president has again been removed from the office, and money, or the lack thereof, is at the center of it. We can tell you that a committee agreed to a resolution to suspend Mrs. Wilson along with 3 others: Treasurer Laureen Knowles, Secretary General John Musgrove, and Trustee Mitzvah Monroe, for 2 months after allegedly paying themselves without authorization. Our news team understands that the execs were paid in excess of $200,000 between 2015 and 2016, representing back pay for a time when they were suspended. This along with Christmas bonus, gas allowance, casual leave, and vacation pay. This is not the first time Mrs. Wilson has been suspended. In 2014, she and Ms. Knowles were removed amidst concerns that more than $1 million from the union's pension and savings accounts had been spent wrongfully. Several months later, the 2 were suspended again for violating the union's constitution. However, the embattled leader fought through the controversy to pull off a landslide election victory last April. Our news team today placed numerous calls to Mrs. Wilson, and none of them were returned up to airtime. Meantime, the Consultant Physician Staff Association's not letting up. The group is holding firm that it's dissatisfied with its negotiations with the public hospitals and the manner in which their concerns are being addressed. JCN's BJ McDermott picks up the story from here.
CPSA President Dr. Loxley Monroe accepts that yes, the PHA may be financially constrained, but some of its spending habits are questionable.
It's acceptable, possibly, that they are saying that they have financial constraints, and we understand that. And we accept that that may be so. Although when you listen to all those contracts for $1.9 million and all the other stuff that they do, it raises questions, to be honest. It raises questions. But despite what may be their deficit, as senior physician in this organization, we continue to work for the benefit of our patient, despite all the deficits that they speak of.
Dr. Monroe added that while he and his colleagues do what they can with what they have, the question is whether the PHA is still committed to their mandate.
In the past 10 years, obviously, I think all of you out there know that we have had recessions. The cost of living has gone up significantly. Natural disasters, Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Joaquin, governmental changes. However, despite the disingenuous comments, we have remained committed to our mission. It is questionable whether or not the PHA is committed to its mission, which in 1998 was to improve the health care in the tertiary level organization of the Ministry of Health.
The CPSA president promised that doctors will be calling an urgent meeting next week, during which a strike poll will be taken.
It is stated that we live in a regulatory and statutory environment. We have laws and so forth. And our group is actually in consultation with legal counsel. So the steps that we take are synchronized with what will be found in the Industrial Relations Act and with the International Labour Organization. What is their recommendations if you have some form of disagreement with your employer. There won't be any illegal things, I can tell you that flat out. All the necessary steps will be taken, guided by what our legal counsel is saying to us.
The CPSA is saying it will stand with the nurses union and the doctors union until this process comes to a polite end. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
In news from the political scene, after months of consultation and feedback, debate today opened on the Fiscal Responsibility Bill, proposed legislation that essentially sets guiding principles and rules for how a government spends and accounts for taxpayers' money. This as the Minister administration seeks to ensure it meets fiscal gains set out in its budget. That, of course, calls for lowering the deficit and maintaining a sustainable fiscal balance, lowering debt to sustainable long-term levels, and maintaining current expenditure growth. The government has made little secret of what it met on the books upon taking office last May, a situation Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest says cannot be repeated. The bill then introduces the special reporting requirements of a pre-election economic and fiscal update.
The Fiscal Responsibility Bill strives to provide a strong depoliticized institutional framework for fiscal policy. First, ensure that no future government ever again engages in flagrant, irresponsible fiscal policies that could once more threaten the future prosperity of our nation. To this end, the proposed fiscal responsibility legislation contains legally binding fiscal rules that places limits on the annual fiscal balance and the debt to GDP ratio.
Now, once passed, the bill takes effect this Monday, October 1st. However, the Fiscal Responsibility Council will not come into force until July 1st, 2019. That council will be a 5-member team appointed by the Governor General on the advice of the Speaker of the House. One member will be nominated by the Bar Association, another from the Chamber of Commerce, the University of the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants, and the Certified Financial Analyst Society. From that body, one person will be appointed chair. The minister, however, stressed that despite its provisions, in order for the legislation to be truly effective, public participation and vigilance is important.
The Minister of Finance must no earlier than 30 working days, nor later than 20 working days before polling day, arrange for such an update to be published on an official website of the government. The minister is also obligated to ensure that the update is a technical and objective document. So there should be no more surprises from governments coming into power or succeeding another government.
But the opposition's point man on finance, Chester Cooper, argued that many in civil society still have concerns. Yet while he supports the potential, the legislation has to be built upon and bring some benefits to Bahamians. The bill, he says, talks about doing many things without consequences for doing so.
In the current fiscal environment, the legislation represents a potential serious threat to the economic stability, potentially, of the Bahamas fiscal model, in my view. Now, what do I mean by that? The government, through its recent increase in the rate of VAT, has taken a potentially great fiscal risk in that it may or may not collect what it believes it will. I say they won't. We asked for the modeling, which was never forthcoming.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.